What's up, chess player? Let's level up your chess with this 10-minute game. I'm gonna explain you everything I'm thinking throughout the game. Pure tips and tricks from international master, just as you like. So let's get started with my favorite opponent, the Philidor defense. I am never too tired to recommend it to you because, well, it's just an amazing one. How solid you are, how good your position is, how simple it is to play. No matter whether you're playing against a beginner or a grandmaster, you're basically doing the same, exactly the same thing, and you're getting a very good position out of it. So let's see what's gonna happen in this line. So it's the main line so far. Castles, yeah, bishop takes f7 was of course a possible sacrifice, which is not good for white objectively. Rook e1, the main move. a4. Well, it's important for us to stop this pawn. a4 has been played because otherwise we are gonna play b5, and that's gonna be, well, uncomfortable for white. But now we have to play a5 to stop this pawn itself. And at some point we want to take on, we want to take on d4, bring our knight to c5. That's one plan. Another plan is to play knight b6, attacking the bishop. Then the second knight is coming to d7, and then we take on d4 and play knight c5 with the second knight. But our opponent plays bishop a2 immediately. That means that we cannot play knight to b6 here because our pawn on e5 is hanging, and actually we don't have any reason to play knight b6 now, so we can just take it immediately. Or we can start with queen b6. I guess both moves are possible. Let's start with queen b6. Because bishop e3, hopefully we are gonna have queen takes b2, and thanks to the fact that the knight on c3 is hanging, well, we still are not losing our queen. But of course you should be careful with such a variation. So let's take a look. Bishop e3, queen takes b2, rook b1, queen takes c3, bishop d2. We have queen a3. Okay, we are still fine there. Yeah, and now we finally take, and we play knight c5. That is a very typical plan. Once again, no matter who you're playing against, you can always execute it. But queen takes d4 is actually not a typical approach. Because normally I'm pretty happy to get to the endgame in the Philidor defense, because I'm on a passive side, so my opponent should attack, and of course attacking is much simpler when you have the queens on the board. Of course he's still gonna have a little bit of an initiative in the endgame, but let's go for it. I'm gonna have a perfect knight on c5, putting pressure on his pawns, and of course I just need to finish my development, but once again, without the queens on the board it's much simpler to achieve. Okay, now I'm back after adjusting the names for you. You can see the rating of our opponent, it's a pretty strong one, so I hope that's okay for you. Now knight f5 is a double attack, but it's never a problem because you just take it, you play rook e8, the next move is going to be d5, and then this bishop on e2 is just completely stuck there. So I enjoy my position a lot. Let's see what's gonna happen next. Of course, the best piece for me is this knight on c5. It's just beautiful, and it's pretty much not possible for white to get rid of it unless you exchange it for a bishop, but that's also never a problem. And then I'm just having a better pawn structure because you have double pawns here, 4 against 3, and you can't really make use of it. Whereas I really literally have an extra pawn here, a potential passer in the long run, so in the endgame I should have the initiative. But of course my opponent has a pair of bishops, which is normally a big advantage, but in this case this bishop is absolutely stupid over there. Only if you manage to play c4 and somehow open up the diagonal, then it's gonna be a different story. But it's not that simple to achieve. Wait, did I blunder bishop d6? Oh no. Yes, that is horrible, because I don't even get any chances to get something for it. I mean, I could have just played rook d8 first. There is no reason to be in a hurry. So always try to check what are the threats your opponent creating, because you might run into some trouble like that. I have to take, and that means that I'm gonna be a rook for 2 pieces. Horrible position for 2 bishops, actually. It's even worse. I don't have a good square to create a threat for my opponent. I mean, that is the worst thing that could have potentially happened. My rook is unprotected. I mean, I'm gonna still continue because I never resign. Maybe I'm gonna get some chances here if my opponent doesn't play correctly, but he's a very strong one, so 2 bishops is just too much. The only good thing that this bishop is still not taking part. As long as that is the case, I still have something to fight, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be able for him to deal with that. So knight a4 would have been an active move, but remember I'm some material down, so exchanging the pieces in general is not a great thing. And also after knight takes, rook takes, he has c4 thanks to the fact that my rook is unprotected. Yeah, now he's playing bishop b6 and my pawn on a5 is hanging. That is another problem I have to deal with. Maybe I actually should have played knight a4, takes, c4, and then d4, trying to once again make sure that this bishop is not taking part, and then having rook e2 on my agenda. Once he takes, I might have the move d4, and then the knight doesn't really have a good square to go except for b1. It's not a good square. And then I have rook e2, you play rook e2. If you play rook d2, I have rook e1 check, although the knight is protected. Well, I'm gonna play rook e5 because also after bishop a5 I'm gonna play d4 and I'm attacking the bishop on a5, so that is kind of tactically stopping the move bishop takes a5. And I'm also attacking the f5 pawn. Well, a pawn is a pawn. If I can get at least anything as a compensation, that's gonna be good. Of course, if white just stabilizes the situation somehow, it's gonna be very difficult for me to fight. Basically do anything here. But as long as it's not the case, I still have some chances. Knight b1, okay, he goes for it. Just wants to take a5. I actually wanted to play rook e2 whenever the knight is going away. Maybe he just plays bishop b3 and I don't have any follow-up. Knight a4, he takes, I have knight takes f2, but instead of taking first, he can play into f1 and my rook is in big trouble. So what do? I guess I still take on f5. d4. Bishop takes, I have, yeah, something like rook e4, and the bishop might be in trouble because it's pinned. But he has rook takes, e1 check, king h2. Yeah, the knight is protected once again, and I don't really have a good follow-up, or any follow-up for that matter. So let me take. At least I'm gonna get some activity. Bishop takes a5, I have d4, or maybe knight e4 first, but yeah, he has f3. The drawback of d4 is, of course, that this bishop is finally gonna be a monster. So let me play knight e4. At least, if you die, then die active. f3, I'm gonna jump to g3, play h4, support the knight, maybe create a few tricks, knight e2 check, knight e4 back. Yeah, it's actually smart of him to go back to this diagonal. Because now if I play c5, he has f3, and then the pawn on c5 is going to be lost, and otherwise I can't play d4 anymore, and f2 pawn is protected. And he's about to just put his knight somewhere like d2. I don't see anything I can do, to be honest. Maybe I can bring the second rook somehow, like rook d6, preparing the move c5, attacking the bishop, then bringing the rook over somewhere here. Knight d2 is very annoying. I still play c5, takes, rook takes, well, bishop takes, rook takes b2. Let's go for it. At least I'm gonna get bishop for a knight, maybe it's gonna make it a little bit better for me. I just noticed in this exact variation, I take knight to d2, c5, knight takes, rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes b2. there is just bishop b3 back and my rook is completely trapped. Although maybe not, maybe I would have c4. Okay, he plays a5, protects the bishop so that c5 doesn't bring me anything, and that's a problem. But at least I can bring my rook number here. Still knight d2. I don't see how to stop knight d2. Maybe rook e6, so that knight d2 I can exchange and get to the first rank, which also doesn't really give me anything, because with those pair of bishops, they control everything on the board. Okay, let me bring the rook here. Maybe I can launch some attack, maybe I can play knight g5 or something. I have to try, right? Otherwise I might as well just resign if I'm not active here. At least I have here 3 attacking pieces, basically all of the pieces I have, and I use it to attack the king, and so far the king is pretty much alone. Only this bishop helps a little bit, protecting the key f2 pawn, but otherwise this bishop doesn't participate in the defense. This rook also not really, the knight also not. As long as that is the case, I have a few chances. My plan, if he plays knight d2, is maybe to play knight g5, attacking here, then go knight e6 and go to f4 and attack the g2 pawn. Yeah, he wants to open up the bishops, that's of course the right thing to do, but maybe finally here I have a chance to play c5. Let's try it. I understand he's gonna get a very powerful pawn, but maybe at least I'm gonna be able to attack him a little bit. Maybe not knight takes f2, but rook takes f2, because I'm threatening to get with both rooks there, and that's gonna be very dangerous. So it's very important for me to block the diagonal. Even if he plays knight c3 or knight d2, I can still play rook takes f2, and to say the least, I'm gonna have a draw there. So maybe it's a chance, and if he plays f3, I can just take it, right? Still having some threats in mind. Yeah, I don't like the move c4 anymore. Seems like it's giving me the chances, and I have those chances exactly for the reason that I have a lot of attacking pieces and he doesn't bring his pieces into the defense. That creates problems for him. Let's see if I will be able to get something out of it. Well, if he plays passively something like rook f1 to protect, then I'm gonna have the move d4, and that is another story, because this bishop is dead for the time being. All of my pieces are still active and I have a passer. Yeah, I understand that as long as the bishop somehow appears on b1, my rooks are in trouble, my pieces are all in trouble, but it's not that simple, because, like I said, I have those threats. So initiative is the most important thing in chess. You see, no matter how much more material my opponent has, if I am active, if I am aggressive, if I'm constantly creating threats, it's difficult for him. So that is your task, to make the life of your opponent as miserable as possible. Yeah, now I'm playing d4. It's basically the only move I have to consider. I don't have any direct threats, but so is my opponent. It's not that simple for him. Yeah, now the knight is hanging. Rook g5 takes, rook takes, and I don't have any good follow-ups. Rook takes b2, I guess should be too slow. Although I'm actually winning the bishop back, and then the second rook is coming. I mean, his pieces are so passive. He plays g4, I take, he takes, I take, king there, and yeah, that's probably not enough. The alternative is just knight g5, king goes somewhere, then knight a6, like I said, my plan, knight f4, but it's not dangerous enough, probably. Okay, let me go for it. I have just 1 minute, I don't have enough time to calculate everything. If he plays g4, I still have a chance to go away with my knight. like g3, for example. But how do I continue? Maybe I do have to take to try to open up. He doesn't want to take the knight and just takes back on g4. That's another problem I have to deal with. Yeah, maybe knight g5 was the best chance. It's attacking both of the pawns. King goes away. Then maybe knight e6, knight f4, g5, attacking all of those guys. I mean, if the pawn would be on h4 already, that would be a completely different story, because g4 wouldn't be possible. And here has this time, precious time. In chess, it's all about the time. There's one tempo short to play h4, he plays g4, and I have a problem. So let's see if he takes the knight now. Because as surprisingly as it might seem, after takes rook g2, still b2 is in trouble, then the bishop is in trouble. Okay, so that is something I completely missed. Yeah, that is a very bad news for me. Now I just have too few pieces to create anything. My only chance is to double the rooks along the h-file, somehow connected with pawn threads here. Knight d2, g3, knight f3, knight takes, rook takes, g2, still a threat. Maybe not, maybe he has rook f2 there. If I stay on the h-file, knight d2, g3, knight f3. Yeah, if I just go somewhere, he has king g2 and everything is covered. Okay, here I wanted to go to the h-file. I guess I don't have any other opportunities. But I like that it's somehow incredible that both of the bishops are not taking part in the game at all. I mean, the bishop can take here, but hopefully I will be able to create some threats. Like check, check, rook takes b2, at least get one of the pieces back, still maintaining some threats. Okay, let's go for it. He might eventually be in time trouble as well. That's gonna be a chance for me. But I still have a feeling I'm winning one of the pieces back. And by the way, rook g1 is another threat. Yeah, that is why he took. Can I create some checkmating threats like g6? How do you stop rook g2? I guess you just go away with the rook. But you might lose your rook there. Yeah, he's gonna play rook f3. Okay, let's take first. We have only 24 seconds. Now let's create this checkmate threat, just in case. Okay. It's not a checkmate. Oh my god, I just missed it. I just missed it altogether that he has f3 square. Okay, now I don't have any time, so I decided to go for this one. I have two passers here. It's actually not that simple for him, because he doesn't have any passers, and we both don't have any time at all. Yeah, if he's gonna play that slowly, he's not gonna get any chances at all. But even objectively, it's very difficult to handle those pawns. Now I guess it's completely lost. g3, f3, f2, and game over. Wow, that was a hell of a game. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, I understand I blundered there tactically, but you can see that even after a blunder, you can still recover. You need to have this resilience, very important skill in chess. And by the way, I have made this video about this skill, the most important one the chess player can have, and that is a tremendous story happened to me. So I recommend sincerely you take a look at this video.